meeting of the Escambia County Board of Adjustments, July 19, 2023, is hereby called to order. With 5 members present, we have a quorum. Can we have the clerk please swear in members of the staff?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Members of the board, copies of the staff's resume has previously been provided and is on file for review. The board has previously recognized the staff as expert witnesses. The Board of Adjustment meeting package for July 19, 2023 with the Development Service finding of fact has been provided to you. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept the BOA meeting package into evidence. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion if we accept it.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second. Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. Do we have proof of publication?
Yes, sir.
Does publication meet all the legal requirements?
Yes, sir.
We can waive the reading of the publication. Does not require a motion. No, it does. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Members of the board, you have previously read the transcript for the Board of Adjustment meeting held on June, when is that?
21st,
June 21, 2023. Chair will now entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. Purpose of the Board of Adjustment.
the Board of Adjustment hears administrative appeals, variances, and conditional use requests. These hearings are quasi-judicial in nature. Quasi-judicial hearings are like evidentiary hearings in a court of law, however less formal. All public testimony will be taken under oath, and anyone testifying before the BOA may be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits that the BOA considers are entered into evidence and made a part of the record. The giving of opinion testimony will be limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence in the record. After hearing the testimony and arguments for and against the proposed action, and before making its decision, the BOA will consider the relevant testimony, the exhibits entered into evidence, and the applicable law. Because the decisions of the BOA relating to variances, conditional uses, and extensions of development orders for site plan approval are final unless overturned by a court of competent jurisdiction, the county may issue development orders and permits for properties in accordance with the decisions of the BOA. However, if an applicant requests the issuance of any such order or permit, and such order or permit is issued. The applicant and not the county shall bear any risk that such decision may be set aside, the development order or permit may be revoked, or the development may be otherwise enjoined by the reviewing court. Any applicant for relief from the decision of the BOA for said actions or any aggrieved party as defined by state law may seek review of such decision by filing an appropriate pleading in a court of competent jurisdiction within 30 days of the BOA decision. The date of the BOA decision shall be the date the BOA voted at the conclusion of the hearing. Whenever the BOA denies an application, no new application for an identical action on the same parcel shall be accepted for consideration within a period of 180 days of the BOA decision. Any person aggrieved by a decision of the BOA relating to an appeal of an administrative decision may within 15 days thereafter apply to the circuit court for review. Each individual who wishes to address the board regarding a particular issue must complete a blue request to speak form and submit it to the clerk of the board. These forms are located on the table at the back of the commission chambers. You will not be allowed to speak until we receive one of these completed requests to speak forms. We must have these completed forms for the public record.
Ex parte communication. All written or oral communication outside of this hearing with members of the BOA regarding matters under review today are considered ex parte communications. Ex parte communications are presumed prejudicial under Florida law and must be disclosed as provided in Board of County Commission Resolution 96-13 before a decision by this board or any administrative appeal, variance, or conditional use request. The chair would ask, as each case is heard, that any board member who has been involved in any ex parte communication regarding the respective issue to please identify themselves and describe the communication.
Thank you, sir. I would appreciate the board's indulgence. I had eye surgery this week and the print comes and goes. But the first case that we're hearing is conditional use 2023-10, 9775 South Loop Road. Has there been any ex parte communication regarding this case? Board, seeing none, does anyone have knowledge or information obtained from a site visit or other sources? Seeing none. Does any board member intend to refrain from voting due to a voting conflict of interest? Seeing none. Would the individuals who are a party to this item please come to the podium and state your name and address and be sworn by the clerk?
How are y'all today? I'm William Mack, and my address is 10335 Gulf Beach Highway 904.
Please raise your right hand.
Huh?
Please raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
And were you provided with a copy of the staff's findings of fact?
Yes, sir.
And you understand all the criteria must be met in order for the grant of conditional use.
Yes.
Would you like the staff to do a brief synopsis, since I'm assuming you agree with the staff's findings?
Please. Yeah.
And then if you have anything to add, we could do it at that time.
Okay.
All right, staff, thank you.
Morning,
You may
Board.
have a seat and then come back.
Morning, Board. Caleb McCarty, Certified Planner, Escambia County. I'm presenting Mr. Homers. He normally runs this for you guys, presenting his findings today. He had some other pressing county matters to attend to, so. Go ahead. This shows our location map at Blue Angel and South Loop Road here. This shows a zoning of, current zoning of commercial with a 500-foot radius zoning map. The future land use of the property is mixed-use suburban. This is an aerial showing some wetlands there to the south. Public hearing sign is placed on the property. This is looking southeast onto the subject property on the corner of South Loop Road and South Blue Angel Parkway. This is looking east along South Loop Road. And this is the subject property. There's a old house that's on there. And we'll proceed into the staff's finding. The applicant is seeking conditional use approval to allow for outdoor boat and trailer storage. Criteria A, concerning the general compatibility. Staff found that the proposed use can be conducted and operated in a manner that is compatible with adjacent properties and other properties in the immediate area. The parcel is located at the intersection of South Blue Angel Parkway and South Loop Road. It is currently adjacent to a mini storage and undeveloped woodlands. The proposed use, as requested, can be conducted and operated in a manner that would be compatible with adjacent properties. Concerning criteria B, facilities and services, staff finds that the facilities and services are available and we provide it as needed for the proposed use. Criterion C, concerning on-site circulation, staff found that ingress and egress will be via the existing driveway off South Loop Road. Criterion D, nuisance and hazards. Staff found that nuisance and hazards are not anticipated with the proposed use. In criterion E, solid waste. Staff found that solid waste services must be provided as needed for the proposed use. Criterion F, screening and buffering. Staff found that comments from planning staff related to screening and buffering for the proposed development were provided to the applicant during the pre-application meeting. If the conditional use is approved, the applicant must address the screening and buffering requirements of the Land Development Code. Criterion G, signs and lighting. The applicant is proposing security lighting for the site, and any signage must meet the LDC requirements. Criterion H, site characteristics. Staff found that the site appears adequate for the proposed use. Some design changes may be needed to the site plan to allow for turning and backing maneuvers related to boat trailers. Criterion I, use requirements. We found that no repair, overhaul, salvage activities are allowed, and the storage must be screened from residential uses and maintained to avoid nuisance conditions. Finally, staff recommends approval of the proposed use as requested with condition of pending completion of the development review committee process and a receipt of a development order. That concludes our presentation at this time.
Thank you, sir. Would the applicant come back to the microphone, please? Board members, any questions of staff?
Mr. Chairman, I have one. The undeveloped woodlands, what is the zoning for that?
To the south,
Yes, sir.
pull that up there. It is high density mixed use, the adjacent zoning.
Okay. Would that include housing potentially then?
Yes, both of these zoning districts, commercial in conjunction with the future land use combination, if you will, would allow for housing. Right beside this property is a mini storage that has been there for a significant amount of time, I believe. You see from the aerial. I don't think this project is related to that, so it would potentially meet our criteria for the use, being infill development and those type of things. in the classification of road. But, yes, the adjacent property would allow for residential housing, if so desired.
Mr. Mack, can you tell the board exactly what do you intend to use this property for if?
I'm proposing to y'all for a boat and trailer storage facility.
And will this just be a lay-down type yard?
Yes, sir. That's right. Yeah, basically.
And you, of course, won't be having any repair work done or any maintenance or anything like that?
No, sir. We'll not allow it either with whoever. We'll have forms for, a little, just for the people to agree we're not gonna have that. Can't come work on your boat in our lot, I mean,
Yes, sir, Mr. Godwin, that commercial zoning district simply allows for the outdoor storage of trailered boats and RVs. It doesn't allow for any type of salvage or repair outdoors or anything like that. So if we get into this process through the development order, it would simply read trailered boats and RVs and those type of things. So the zoning simply wouldn't allow for that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Do you contemplate having a hangar or some kind of building on the property too? Or will it strictly be a open
yeah, just an open lot.
Yeah. lot
We're
with,
dying, yeah.
with
just
no
open.
type of structure or
No,
anything
sir.
like that?
No,
Okay.
sir, no, sir. Mm-mm. We will have power and water, but.
Yeah, well, understanding that, but no
No, sir. We'll have
type of
no-
operation is what I'm
Right,
getting
no,
at.
Mm-mm. No, sir.
Maybe the staff can explain this. How do we make sure that this doesn't go to a storage facility into a junkyard?
Yeah, so typically we're complaint driven with these things, but the development order would only specify trailer boats and RVs. We're highly, staff as development review, we're highly familiar with these type of, outdoor storage type of facilities. Obviously, they're a different zoning district, such as heavy commercial light industrial. A little less intense commercial zoning district kicks it into this conditional use. So as staff, we're highly familiar with these type of developments, and they somewhat police themselves in a way. Obviously, if there's some type of activity that's going on, it won't be allowed. It would get reported to the county, but after the site plan is approved, we don't necessarily have a mechanism that would go and follow up on the actual use that's going on. We would simply, everything would need to be met as a trailer, boat, and RV type of storage. That's how it would read, and that's the only thing it would be approved under this conditional use, so.
Under the commercial use, are junkyards allowed?
No, the salvage type of activities are essentially not allowed. Specifically, as the conditional use reads, it says outdoor storage not among the permanent uses of the district, including outdoor storage of trailer boats and operable RVs. But then it goes on to say, but no repair, overhaul, or salvage activities. Such storage shall be screened from residential uses and maintained to avoid nuisance conditions. That's specifically talking, it calls out trailer boats and operational vehicles, but it also calls out the no repair, no overhaul, salvage. You don't really get in that until the next zoning district up, the heavy commercial light industrial. And even then, it may require conditional use, such as a junkyard that the board may be familiar with, that would require a conditional use even in that zoning district. So the repair overhaul is specifically not allowed in this zoning district at all.
Is there any type of layout that shows how close the storage area is from the wetlands?
We have a preliminary, he has done some preliminary review with county staff, and like Mr. Homer notes in his findings, that more than likely this is going to be changing based upon, stormwater requirements and those type of things, but preliminarily the applicant has provided this information. If the site is approved for the conditional use, we require a site-specific survey, environmental consultant that would be provided. And just to further comment, it may actually benefit the applicant that there are some wetlands that on the bottom for stormwater management requirements for discharge and things like that. That would be up to the engineer to work those things in, so.
Well, my main concern is if a boat leaks,
Sure.
and goes into that wetland, I think that's a
Sure.
big wetland, I'm not sure where it heads. But are there any thing on the site plan that prevents such?
Yeah, there would be a stormwater management plan that will be provided from his engineer at a later date that would essentially contain, site runoff and everything that's being discharged from the site. Any type of spill prevention is probably built into that plan. So we would hope that not happen, but those mechanisms should be built into a stormwater management plan.
Mr. Mack, I see your proposed diagram for the spaces. I presume those are parking spaces.
Yeah, this is sort of a rough draft.
I understand that's a concept. Will that be cement, or in other words, is this going to be non-impervious ground? In other words, are you going to
Gravel.
pave it?
Yeah, well, no, we're gonna just do a milling, probably an asphalt milling.
Okay.
Which, talking to the engineer, that's a little, what is it called? Is it a?
It's
semi or
semi-impervious.
something.
Yeah, that's
They-
really getting into some stormwater stuff,
Yeah.
but it's what staff would call a semi-impervious, which may again benefit in the long run for drainage and those type of things.
Sure.
The calculations, when you get into that, it's not as great for stormwater management as it would be just concrete, so.
I have a question for staff.
Yes, sir.
Is there a requirement for a fence, and if so, what kind of a fence?
Absolutely. So that screening and buffering is required. We expect that the applicant at the site plan review process, we require a fence, and I believe it would need to be slatted on here, if I'm not mistaken. So, those would be required. Now, the code does, when it gets into screening and buffering in this use, it does say that residential uses are to be screened against. There's not any residential uses that abut the property, so it may simply just be some fencing that would be needed. And the adjacent property is a mini storage, so this may be, a good spot because it doesn't abut. Obviously, it's a visible spot, but that may benefit the marketing of the applicant. But again, there doesn't appear to be any residential uses within the area. So, yeah, there would be screening and buffering as required by the LDC. Definitely a fence would need to be around the property, and that may also benefit the applicant for security reasons and those type of things.
I have a question for the applicant also. You have a gated entrance indicated on the plans. Is this facility manned by anybody, or?
No.
So am I right in assuming that people that have rented storage space have a key and can get in and out of the space whenever they want to?
Yes.
Is there any wetland buffer between the parking area and the actual wetlands, like
Yes,
30 feet or whatever?
there's requirements by the LDC that's going to require him to be about 25 feet on average. The code says between 15 and 25, but there's an average buffer that would be calculated at the time they provide a site-specific survey, environmental wetland survey, and that would all be, taken into account at the site plan review process.
Can you give me an aerial showing the wetlands of the larger, can you go to the property appraiser and let me see how big that wetland is?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so, yeah. Yeah. massive.
I'm kind of familiar with the Blue Angel area, and that's what I thought it was, yeah. Yeah, that's my only concern is when I saw this, this wetland kind of, is all over that area, and that's the first thing I thought of was, you know, if a boat leaks, gas, oil, whatever fluids, you know, it doesn't just, it's not in an individualized wetland, it's connected to a larger stream of wetlands. Is there any way we can put on our recommendation that, you know, that buffer area, you know, be the greater of the, you said it was 15 to 25 or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the code works with an average, and 15 to 25, which allows you to encroach a little bit closer than, you know, if you have a site. So, I mean, you could, if the applicant so was, wanted to, she's asking if you would be okay with a 25-foot buffer, more or less, then I think that's pretty much the max on the wetland requirements.
Right, you know, and I think the engineers,
We'll take that in.
yeah, and the one I'm working with is very familiar with this big time.
Yeah, and I would say with stormwater management, and the applicant's responsible for, you know, containment on their site and those type of things. So we would hope that wouldn't occur, but if it was to occur, maybe the buffer may help out a little bit more.
Right.
More buffering.
So I know the drainage heads south
Sure.
towards that wetland on that property, according to the drawings that y'all provided. Okay, thank you.
If we had a stormwater engineer in here, they would probably be able to explain it better than I could, but unfortunately, that's not my expertise, so.
I was wondering how much has the staff looked at this as, for the potential environmental impact? I suppose having rocks is a better, in one way, I suppose, is better than having concrete. But the only problem with rocks is the water seeps down through them. And I was just wondering what kind of environmental review has the staff done on this? Because this does sit right on the tip
Right.
of this Blue Angel.
Yeah, and the elevation is not, well, I don't know if there's it's, I would not see any way that the pond, I mean, I just don't, it's gonna, most is gonna go in the ground. I mean, I don't think it's gonna flow, you know, with an imperfect, you know, with that surface, it's gonna a lot go in the ground, I think. And
So,
but
yeah,
I'm pretty familiar with petroleum stuff and
right.
and live out that way. And you just don't see that on these yards, and I'm not gonna put up with it. I'm very familiar with petroleum products. And I have been for years in Pensacola, actually, in the business for 60 years here, so.
From staff's perspective, to answer your question, we haven't really done anything until environmental survey is brought in. For commercial sites, we ask that the buffers maintain and you stay out of the wetlands. You know, if there's any type of impact proposed, which is not the case for the mitigation and those type of things with state, federal permits would be needed. But that's not what's being proposed here from what I see. For commercial sites, we just ask that they stay out of them. You know, the zoning itself, it doesn't allow for, it's just like a parking lot here, you know. We would hope that one of the cars wouldn't leak, obviously. But the zoning doesn't allow for any type of operation, or exposure or anything like that. So it really does try to combat, any type of faulty equipment or faulty vehicles that may be associated with some type of salvage yard and those type of things. This is not such the case. These are trailer boats and recreational vehicles such as RVs.
When submitting a site plan, and there being wetlands on the subject property, is it required by the county to do a site-specific survey for a wetland?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You have to do it, yep.
So things such as animals, soils.
Right, correct. Yep, and go for tortoises, those type of
Right,
things.
exactly.
All that would be prepared by environmental consultant. They would provide, the hydrological conditions.
Right.
Soil types, vegetation, and, they would provide a wetland map along with any type of endangered species
Right.
that is found on the property. So that would all be provided at the next step of the development review process.
I have a couple more questions. I'm not sure if it's for staff or applicant. First, what lighting is required or expected for this facility?
We'll just have Gulf Power come in and light it up with street lights.
It will, the area will be lit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And
And-
fenced and, with a screen around the fence as well. I mean, it's like doing any other kind of business. You gotta make profit, so it's gotta be pretty nice. So we're gonna keep it, it'll be a nice lot. It's, that's our intention of it. And if, just me as a person, I'm not gonna let somebody park a boat there. We've already got a situation sort of, I've noticed that way, but we're not, it's gonna be a nice lot. We're not gonna let people pull up. We're gonna look and see it, we have to, it's real tight with the amount of area we have and, just making it all work out. So, of course, we're gonna be a little bit more expensive and probably, select our people a little better.
My other question is hours of operation. Since anybody renting this space has a key,
Yeah.
are they allowed to enter and exit 24 hours a day?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of monitoring or supervision will you have over your lot?
Well, we'll put all cameras in, and I go by it 2 to 4 times a day, and he does too. So we'll be doing it that way. And we'll be, cleaning it up and stuff like that as we go. But if you're asking me if we're having employees, no, we'll do that. Because they're all full, and I never ever see anybody move a boat out of them. It's crazy. I've never, as far as they're pretty. I don't know. It's, and I'm very familiar. And we're in need out there. We have people going to Milton for boat storage.
How big of a boat will you be able to store at that facility?
Well, I don't think, I wouldn't foresee us doing anything over 28 foot, nothing. Because it gets to where you really can't trailer one much bigger than that, really.
Can we look at the area again? I'd like to see the views of what's around it, the proposed. Yeah, the pictures.
Oh, the pictures.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, that shows an older house, I believe it is.
Yeah.
That's on site.
And this one would be where the sign is, behind it would be where you're contemplating
Yes, sir.
your lot, right? Okay. And where is the mini storage in connection with that?
So it's so we're on the corner, and it's up South Loop, right behind me, actually, behind that house, is, I think it's about 17 acres there, I think. Maybe bigger, but a lot of wetlands right there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's shown right there. It looks like there's that many storage. You see the bigger buildings and,
The long, rectangular buildings.
yes, sir. And then there's
And-
a house right there, I believe.
Yeah,
If I understand the testimony is that has been established for a number of years.
Yes, sir, I believe so. It shows up in aerials. The sign looks like it's been there for a while. I don't have any verification on exactly how long, but it appears to have been there for a long time.
and it's nice, and he keeps it well.
Okay. And across, from, on the other side of the highway, I take that to be what, residential farm type property? Yeah, that.
Yes, sir, residential.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that right of way is fairly significant there.
yeah, it's big. It's really sort of from, it's odd, but from, Gulf Beach Highway up by the Walmart to the back gate of the base, there's nothing on the road. I mean, it's sort of, but I do know some development is coming out there. There's a bunch more houses right in that area, I've heard, so.
Board members, any questions of staff or applicant? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion regarding this item. In the motion, please state whether or not you adopt staff's findings of fact. If for any reason you do not adopt staff's findings of fact, please go through each criterion and address it. Chair's open for a motion.
I make motion we adopt staff's finding of fact.
We have a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Passes unanimously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We are, at full strength for the first time in a long time, and it's time to address the chair and vice chair. And would you like to?
I just wanted to remind everyone that per the code under section 1-4.5, which addresses the membership of the board, the chair and vice chair are elected for a term of 2 years and with eligibility for re-election. So the sitting chair and vice chair can be re-elected if that is the will of the board.
Okay, this is open for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Michael as chairman. I think he would be good. He's come from a legal background. I know he's been vice chair for a year or so. But I think, to give you a rest, Avi, I think you've done an excellent job and hope you continue on this board. But I'd like to nominate Michael if he'd accept the nomination.
Okay,
as he's
Michael,
not looking at me.
Will you accept the position if so elected?
You know what they say in the Army, you don't ever volunteer for anything, you know? But I would be honored if, I will certainly, if it's the will of the board to elect me as chairman, I would be, like I said, I would be honored. And I certainly think that we owe our Mr. Smith a debt of gratitude for the years that he served as chairman. You could not, yeah, you could not ask.
State dinner is it?
Yeah, that's right. You could not ask for a person that is more fair to the board and the applicants and the public. And more dedicated, so.
Well, thank you, sir. Okay, we have a motion to elect Michael as chair. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Congratulations, you are overwhelmingly elected. Do we need to go ahead and address the vice chair?
Yes.
Chair seeks a motion for a vice chair.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I guess, since Jennifer got me in this, one good term deserves another. And I would nominate her. Jennifer has been on this board a very long time and always asks those, as you just heard, those very hard questions, and it's a real pleasure to, and I certainly have learned a lot from those questions, so, and I would nominate her as the vice chairman.
Okay, we have a nomination of Jennifer Bass as vice chair. And do we have a second?
Second.
And we have a second. Those, any discussion? Those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Overwhelmingly elected. Congratulations to both of you. You've done a fantastic job up until this point, and I know you will continue to serve with honor and distinguished ability. Thank you very much.
We want more money.
This would be effective the August meeting, but we actually will not have an August meeting. I only got one application and they specifically requested for September. So I will not be emailing you until the first or second week of September. I only have one case so far.
What is the one that's coming up?
Oh, yeah, yes. It, accessory structure in the front yard of a waterfront property. We've had dozens of those. Yeah. The deadline is still next month, so we may get more.
Okay.
September 20th.
Thank you very much. Without objection, we stand adjourned.